I got two medicines because one's very small and the other one's actually been proven. The one hasn't. Aurum Muratic Kalinatum and Aurum Muriatic Natronatum. And I said yesterday Aurum Muriaticum was gold with muriatic acid. That's I made a mistake. It was I wasn't doing too good. My gum's a lot better. I took mercury yesterday, homeopathically prepared, of course, and my gum is my tooth, my gum, it's all better. It was more gum stuff, and that's mercury's great for any kind of gum stuff that you have going on. And I believe, like I said, it's from the filling, and those amalgams or fillings that they put in years ago had mercury in them for whatever reason. So mercury will do damage to the gums, and they were given mercury as a medicine, as you'll see when I read through this, and that would destroy the gums. But yeah, it's actually gold with sea salt, basically. These medicines, Aurum muratica and Kalinatrum is Calimur, which is one of the medicines we use, and Natmur with Aurum, which is muratic natronatum, is gold with Natmur mixed together. Those two substances mixed together. So, and Natmur is one of the medicines is a big medicine we use, and Calimur also. Kali is potassium, and of course, Natmur is sodium, which is salt. Okay, so, but like I said, man, I got just a little tinge of stuff on my gums. So I went from, and that's why I probably yesterday made that mistake. I went from not sleeping that night to having a tooth pain, and I tried a bunch of different medicines. I thought, okay, silica was working for a while. I got lung stuff coming up again. Silica was working for a while. So I tried silica. I thought, okay, maybe there's some kind of infection, pyrogen. I tried. Then nerve pain. I thought a hypericum for the nerve pain. And then I just said, okay, you know what? It's probably mercury, because the gums, it's probably not the tooth so much as the gums, because the tooth was solid, the tooth felt fine, but the gums were messed up. Now that area there, and I've got an amalgam or a filling over here that has mercury, it doesn't do anything. So obviously this one is leaking mercury, basically. So I probably need to get it out, but you hate to rip out a tooth that's good, even if it has that. Now the bottom ones had them in it too, and I got those ripped out. But anyways, yeah, I've got just a little sore now up in the top, and I just keep taking mercury, and it'll be good. So Aurum Muratic Kalinatum, double chloride of potassium. So potassium um, is the Kali part of it. Muratic is the salt part of it. So Kali mur with gold, Aurum, an unproved gold salt recommended by Dr. Burford and others, not just him, as the best preparation of gold in cases of uterine induration, which is hardness of the uterus, and hemorrhage. And that hardness, bleeding, of course. Induration, hardness. I don't doubt that doesn't allow a woman the egg to attach to the uterus. So there are probably some, what do they call that? um, Not abortion, but miscarriage. Yeah. Uterus hemorrhage and induration. Okay. Aurum Muratic Natronatum, which is Natmur and Aurum. Natmur, which is sea salt and gold. Okay, so double chloride of gold, sodium Aurum Muraticum Natronatum. This double salt of natrum and chloride of gold shows more of the syphilitic miasm present, whether the person had syphilis or they inherited that miasm, carcinoma, which is cancer, on a syphilitic base. So they're relating, the cancer is produced by the syphilitic miasm. Burnett states, he's a homeopath, that aurum muratic natrum has more power over uterine tumors, and that's a 3. That's a big one. They got them in bold letters. So uterine tumors, you would consider Aurum, Muratiac, Natronatum for that than any other remedy, he says. So uterine tumor is great for it. Anschutz, which is another homeopath, writes, what's he write? What the heck is it? Oh, never have I observed gold so startling in its action as in the following case. The patient is a type of the scrofulous, which is tubercular. So not only do you have a syphilitic miasm, but a tubercular type of thing. Scrofulous habit. Reddish hair, pasty complexion, thick nose, coarse features, about 30 years of age. He has had the misfortune of being infected with syphilis. So, tubercular scrofulous habit, which is tubercular stuff, and he got infected with syphilis. You know, a lot of people that get infected with syphilis, it's not like they're promiscuous and running around with everybody. They just happen to be with a person. I remember my wife telling me this one little girl, she was a pretty little girl, and my wife said, "Oh, that girl goes and gets warts burned off. She, won't let anybody see her down there, but she has sex with people. I don't know if she's spreading, I don't know if it was gonorrhea warts, but yeah, she said, she would go get them burned off and not let anybody know about it. So she had the misfortune of running into somebody like that. She might have been a little more promiscuous, but anyways, you just happen to run into somebody and have a relationship with them, and they have that, whether they know it or not, and it gets passed on. So misfortune of being infected by syphilis, and the still greater ill luck of being treated by mercury and iodine to excess. So back then, they were using mercury in dose to take care of any syphilis and iodine. Iodine's not so bad, but the mercury was really poisoning people back then. They were, just like they are today. Sorry. Today they're giving all these drugs that actually they're not doing any good. They're not curing anything. And Kennedy was up here yesterday fighting against the vaccinations and all this stuff, which on one end, it's quite a controversy. On one end, the vaccinations definitely help people not get these diseases. We've seen, and I appreciate what he's trying to do. The vaccines help people not these diseases not to come back and take over the population. But if at the same time he was trying to eliminate, because you think about it, they got an RSV vaccination, you got the flu vaccination, you got the COVID vaccination, you got the HPV vaccination, I mean, just shingles vaccination. Yeah, if they would get away from that and go to homeopathic medicine, they could take care of a lot of these situations without having the side effects of the vaccination, because 1 out of 10 people will have a reaction. I know my folks don't have a reaction now. They're used to taking that stuff. They're 90 and 88. Whether you take the vaccination and it doesn't harm you, you're fortunate. I remember when I was young, some kid down in Etna, a local community here, one kid I knew died of the vaccination, and I just remember hearing about that. 1 out of 10, will have a bad reaction. I know me and my wife got the COVID one. Holy heck. On the way home, I was sweating. Had a fever and that. My wife was throwing up. So the vaccinations, are they a good thing? They did help uh, with a lot of the diseases that were coming around, but there is that side effect, just like all the other drugs. There's so many side effects. We're not too far gone from before when they were given mercury in dose and iodine in dose, and this guy had mercury and iodine to excess because of the syphilis. They were treating the syphilis, and that really excited, did some damage. All these circumstances co-joined help to produce a complication of morbid conditions. So morbid is, dying, sickness, so it did more harm than it did good. And, like I said, my folks, they're looking to get that flu vaccine. Now, I know people that got the flu vaccine and still got the flu, you know. Now they didn't get too sick, And like I told the one guy, I said, I got for the COVID, I got a medicine, and I gave it to him. He said, I still got COVID. Yeah, you will possibly get COVID, but you won't get as sick and die from it. So that's quite a controversy, whether you take the vaccine or you don't, that's fine. They're getting rid of the mandate for vaccines for children in Florida. Is that going to be a good thing, a bad thing? If they're going to do that, they should have an alternative such as homeopathic medicine. Homeopathic medicine will get you through mostly every disease. And, most of us, we would get different diseases. I imagine everybody got chicken pox. Now they're saying from the chicken pox you're getting shingles. What's the problem there? They suppressed the chicken pox and it still wants to come out. The vital force still wants to push it out. Later on in life, it pushes it out. You get shingles. Now they got a shingles vaccine. Yeah, all that, and to be honest, as a knowing homeopathic medicine, that is all suppression. They're suppressing the diseases. Now, if it keeps you healthy and you do good, that's fine. Some people won't do good. Some people will have more problems. Sometimes, I'm not totally against vaccines, but I'm just saying that it will suppress the disease. It'll cause different problems in different organs because the body's trying to push this stuff out. If you were to utilize homeopathic medicine, that would take care of the disease and not allow you to have other problems. And if you listen to these commercials, they're just saying, you take this medicine, it'll take care of your eczema or your shingles or whatever. And but you can't, you might have your immune system will be compromised. You might have this, that, the other thing. You could have it. Not everybody will get these problems, but some will. So there's a whole controversy there. My thought on it is I don't take vaccines. I won't take no more vaccines. I took the COVID because my wife has COPD and lung stuff from smoking all these years. And I didn't want her, if she got the COVID, that might have killed her. She could have been one of the casualties. So we got the vaccine, and she said, "I will never take a vaccine again." And I take care of everything homeopathically. So if they were to replace the vaccine and in the medicines that they're given with homeopathic medicine, they would be a lot better off. So I'm off that soapbox. But he had syphilis, took mercury and iodine, and it gave him more morbid conditions, which would be put medical art to a severe test. So when he says medical art, he's talking about the art of, see, there's a science, of homeopathy. And the science is they do a proving. They give you, say, Aurum, Mruatic, Natronatum. They give that to prove it. They didn't prove Kalinatrum. So if you prove it, you might get more symptoms out of it, like you did here. But when they proved Aurum, Mruatic, Natronatum, they got all these symptoms. That's the science. They give that medicine homeopathically, of course. The person gets sick, they give it until they get sick. They give you all these symptoms, and once you get these symptoms, then you write them down. Now there's the science. We know that this person that got these symptoms, this is what it'll cure in a person that's has whatever symptoms you're going for. So that's the science. The art is, boy, this person's had syphilis, was taking mercury. So when I do case taking, when I do the case taking classes or courses or whatever I'm doing, it always talks about, you have to look at, what was the symptoms before they took the drugs, and what are the symptoms when they get the drugs. So you might have to work through the drugs that they took to actually get a cure. So a case of rhinoscleroma, which is an infection of the nose, lungs, trachea, all that stuff. It's mainly the nose. And rhino is like, that's why they call that a rhino, because they got a big horn on their nose. So rhinoscleroma has been reported cured by it in 5x by Krantz Bush. Old cases of rheumatism or gouty pains and scrofula. Scrofula is tuberculosis stuff. But rheumatism, gouty pains, all good for that. And that's according to Krantz Bush. And he cured that rhinoscleroma. Burnett considers it to have been, Burnett's another homeopath, a big homeopath, a great one, considers it to have more power over uterine tumors than any other gold preparations. Aurum muratic natrum has been proved, but it has been chiefly used on general aurum indications, so general gold indications, which is aurum metallicum. So it's been used on those kind of indications more than it has on the natmur indications. Okay, so let's get into it. Aurum muraticum natronatum is the proven medicine. The other one wasn't, and the other one was good for what they say. Let me clear my throat real quick. In cases of uterine induration and hemorrhage, so bleeding from the uterus with hardening of the uterus. And this is also a very big female remedy, Aurum Muratic natrum. Aurum, I got Aurum spelled wrong. It should be Aurum. Anyways, I don't even know if you can see this board much. Induration of one part, softening of another. So hardening of one part, softening of another. Fibroids of uterus, very big for that. Cancer of breast and uterus. So a great cancer remedy for, breast and uterus. Worse, cold, wet weather from October to spring. So they get whatever colds, and that's with a headache. They'll get a headache from October to spring with considering this medicine. All symptoms aggravated by rest, so they don't like to rest. They got to be up and going. Um, but they get mainly a headache from October to spring. They can have that sinus stuff going on, the rhino, whatever the heck that was. Vexation is the cause of this with jaundice. So liver stuff. That's where the jaundice comes from, the yellowing of the skin. But vexation, they get basically pissed off at people, and they hold on to that. That's why forgiveness is such a great thing, not for the other person, but for you. Abdomen, dropsy. Dropsy is fluid retention. Pressure in right hypochondrium, which is right on the upper part of the abdomen. The epigastrum is the lower part on the sides, and the hypochondrium is the sides on the upper part. Cracking of the neck, bending head. And I always say, people say, oh man, I must have slept wrong, my neck hurts. But you most likely have something else going on that's giving you that stiff neck. But the neck cracks when they bend the head, burning, drawing, tension in the neck, and pressure in the left part of the nape of the neck. And it extends to the shoulder. Worse, bending head to the right, so they can't turn their, you got this person that's stiff, and they can't, they're holding their head like this because they can't turn it to the right. Someone comes in looking like that, you'd be considered an aurum natum. Pustule eruptions on the back, so that's eruptions with pus in them on the back. No chest, no ears, eyes, right? Amaurosis, which is loss of vision. Ophthalmia, which is an infection in the eyes. Scrophulus, which is Scrophulus cancerous. So tubercular miasm type of stuff with cancer of the eyes. At same time, nose is scurfy, which is thin, dry, flaky scales on the nose. Miscarriage from uterine induration. Why is that up in the eyes? That's interesting. Given to syphilitic mothers to prevent disease in offspring. I must have put that. I don't know why that ended up there, but it should be. What the heck? What is that? You got something going on me? Another tick or something hanging on. I'm gonna have to take some more tick medicine. Yeah, I messed up. I put the woman stuff up in here, but let's go with now it's female. No face, but there was eyes. So amaurosis, loss of vision, ophthalmia, inflammation, scrofulous, cancerous, and at the same time nose is scurfy. So cancerous stuff in the eyes with peeling of this flaky, dry skin on the eye, up around the eyes. Now, this is woman stuff. Given miscarriage from uterine induration given to syphilitic mothers prevent disease in offspring. Boy, you can tell I was tired. There's a lot of female stuff, so I kept just writing up. But you know, you give Aurum muraticum natronatum for a woman that is pregnant and has syphilis, and it doesn't, the syphilis will not be transferred to the offspring. But a miscarriage from uterine induration, so that induration, that hardness, that's what I said, the hardness of the uterus, the egg cannot attach to the uterus. Let's see, let's go down here with the, okay. Induration of cervix, chronic metritis, which is uterine infection, and prolapsed uterus, so the uterus is falling out. Ulceration of neck of womb and vagina. Enlargement of ovaries, corroding leukorrhea, so it means it's corroding the skin around with leukorrhea. Pustules on genitals, so that's pus-filled stuff on the genitals. Serous or cancer of uterus and breast. Yeah, there's more dullness. Okay, watery, bloody discharge. Okay, wait a minute. Boy, I was really tired yesterday. I didn't get much sleep. Then I have a cat that jumps on the door, scratches it once in, then it jumps around in the middle of the night. I don't know what to do about that cat. Indurated cervix, and that's why they're having miscarriage, because it's not able to, the egg is not able to hold on to the cervix or the, yeah, anyways, indurated cervix, chronic metritis, which is uterine infection, prolapsed uterus. I did all that. Leukorrhea, spasmodic contractions. Oh, the leukorrhea, they got spasmodic contractions of vagina with that. Ovaries are indurated. Ovarian dropsy, which is, holding a fluid. Everything is hardened in here. Ossified uterus, that's like bone growing in there. So there's a real big hardness of the uterus in Aurum muratic natronatum. Ulcer, when with indurated uterus, so there's a lot of ulcers, there's a lot of inflammation, they're having a miscarriage from the hardness, they even have bone like growing in there. And it's enlarged, it like fills up the whole cavity, the ovaries and that are enlarged, it's holding on to fluids. So the bottom line is a big uterine remedy, vagina, uterine, ovary, all that stuff. They're having problems down there with a lot of hardening and a lot of, miscarriage and that. But the big one is a mother that has syphilis. It prevents, you give this Aurum muratic natronatum, it prevents them from passing on the syphilis. Whew, that was a lot. Food. How much time do I have? 23. I'm still all right. Hair falls out, and that's usually a syphilis thing. Violent, boring pains, whole side of head, mostly over eyes. So it's like boring into the head, mostly over the eyes, with morning pressure over one eye, over the eye. So there's pressure, there's boring pain, dullness lasts all afternoon. So this is that headache type of thing that goes from, what's it say, from October to spring. So right about now, this person that needs Aurum muratic natronatum would have this headache. And it's a boring with pressure. Dullness lasts all afternoon, so just a dull feeling in their head. Worse, better in the evening. So afternoon it's worse, evening it's better. Nasal discharge is bloody, fetid meaning bloody, and Icarus, which is watery, bloody discharge. Okay, so I got a headache with bloody discharge, and that's probably with that whatever that was, blast, whatever. Anyways, that's just an infection type of thing going on in the nose. So that may, could you imagine having that headache and that from October to spring with this rhino stuff going on, this infection going on, and one medicine like Aurum muratic natronatum would clear that up. Somebody would want to give you their life savings just to get rid of that symptom. And that's why I say, with homeopathic medicine, it takes care of a lot of things, unlike the regular drugs. This person's probably would be on some kind of drug like opioids or um, what's the other ones for inflammation? Ibuprofen, something like that to get rid of this. And they would be stuck on it with a lot of side effects. Whereas you give them Aurum, Mruatic, Natronatum, and it'll probably clear all that stuff up instantly. You'd be surprised at how quick. Just like I had that gum thing. Now I would have had to go to a dentist. I would have had to get probably antibiotics or something to clear up whatever was going on. And I took mercury, and that was last night. No, yesterday at night yesterday. I woke up with that pain, and I started taking it, and it started clearing up a little bit in the day, and by last night it was feeling fine. It wasn't painful, unless I touched it, and that it felt painful. And now today I just got a little tiny thing left, and it's gone. 2 days to get rid of that gum thing, where most likely I would have had to go to the doctor, get some antibiotics, yeah, all that kind of stuff. And that antibiotics would tear up your um, gut flora, probably causing diarrhea, causing other things. Yeah. Aurum, Mruatic, Natronatum, probably take another couple doses throughout the day today and then at night, and by tomorrow it'll most likely be gone. All right, no kidney. I don't know why there's no kidney, because there is jaundice and stuff, but anyways. Limbs burning in the skin of right axilla. That's the armpit. So they got a burning there. Pressure in right deltoid, the arm muscle. Boring pain, pressing pains in arms and below elbow joints. So they got pains in the arms and elbow joints. Boring in nose. There's a lot of boring. Boring in head, boring in nose, boring in bones, boring in thighs, knees, and tibia. First right, then the left. So it starts on the right, it goes to the left. Now they're not connected, you know. The legs and the arms and that aren't connected, but it first starts in the right and then to the left. Boring on both sides, right Achilles tendon. So both sides of the Achilles tendons. Stitching in tips of toes. So like a stitching pain, which is like sharp pains, and bunion. And that's another thing. When I read that bunion, my mom has a bunion, and I had one coming on, and I forget what medicine I took. That went away. It's just great having homeopathic medicine, let me tell you. Liver, lungs, male. Nothing in liver and lungs, male. Ulcer on foreskin, warts around them. Ulcers on glands, eating deeply. So these ulcers and these things are eating real deep sores on the foreskin and on the penis. And it said excitable, but I didn't put none of that down. Tongue white. That's interesting, because even the something else was white, but the tongue is white, and that's unusual. It's usually yellow, but its tongue is white. Warts on tongue, burning on the tip, redness and swelling of palate, the upper part of the mouth, behind upper incisors, and a lot of salivation, which reminds me of mercury. Mercury's a lot of salivation and gum stuff. Ulcers on the nose, caries, which is tooth decay. I don't know why tooth decay is in there. That should be up in the mouth. He might have made a mistake. Oceana, which is rhinitis, swollen, hard, shining, scrofulous on the nose, which, anyways, if takes cold, erysipelas sets in, which is skin stuff. If they get a cold, they get erysipelas on the nose, which is a bacterial infection on the nose. And that's that rhinitis thing, or whatever it was. Clay, like feces. So it's like a gray clay sort of looking is the feces. Appearance of hemorrhoids, which protrudes and is painful. So protruding hemorrhoids. Wish I would have told that lady. I told her Aeschylus for her husband's. Well, they're not. Hers weren't painful, so it wouldn't even be Aeschylus. Hemorrhoid. It wouldn't be this medicine, because this one, they protrude and they're painful. Aeschylus, that one that protrude and they weren't painful. I'd be interested to find out if that worked for that lady. Intolerable itching all over body. Sores followed by eruptions of little lumps, several covered with dark looking scabs, and there's jaundice, a yellowing of the skin. But they've got a lot of eruptions, itching eruptions, sores, and they're dark with scabs. Okay, so neck, burning pain, skin of nape of neck, heat in nape of neck, and rising in the head and cheeks. So there's a burning and a heat. And of course, the neck stuff also had in the back cracking of it and the tension pulling it to the left, and they can't turn their head to the right. Fevers, remarkable coldness of the back, and a remarkable heat of the skin. So the skin's all hot, but the back is cold. Sweats only on right side. That's a very interesting, that would really determine this medicine. And left sided head remains dry. Excessive perspiration, tongue, burning stitches, and induration. It's a hardness of the tongue. Old cases of rheumatism and gouty pains. I don't know why that's under tongue, but that would just relate why they're having that hardness and that. Hepatic cirrhosis. So this is all liver stuff, which is why, we're leading to the tongue stuff, I would imagine. Intestinal nephritis. So both of these are kidney problems leading to these tongue situations and the rheumatism and the gout. Teeth get loose, look dirty, and gums recede. So that's also like a mercury situation there. What is it? Oh, 31, I'm over again. I got to quit talking about vaccinations and stuff like that. According to Hale, this is the most active of all preparations of gold. In toxic doses, it causes violent gastroenteritis. So that's, gastric stuff, stomach stuff. Accompanied by cramps, convulsive trembling, insomnia, priapism. Priapism is an erection that's constant there, but it's insensible. No feeling in it, but they always have this erection. In pathogenic doses, it causes epigastric pain, nausea, loss of appetite, and constipation. Constipation is like that of hydrastis, being accompanied with catarrh. Hydrastis is great for lung catarrh, yellow mucus and that real thick mucus in the lungs. Hale another homeopath, used it with success in nervous dyspepsia, with tendency to diarrhea after eating gastric and duodenal catarrh with or without jaundice. So they've got kidney stuff with gastric, a duodenal ulcer probably, and a lot of gastric diarrhea and heartburn going on. So big stomach stuff going on. The same authority states that the primary effect of the salt is to cause congestion, irritation of uterus and ovaries, subacute metritis, ovaritis, profuse and premature menses, habitual abortion. So that's that's why the hardening of the uterus, nymphomania, both in male and female, ulceration of uterus, cervicitis. For these, the potencies are suitable. The secondary effects are atonic amenorrhea. So atonic, which is hardening, and amenorrhea is not having their period. Scanty and delaying menses, deficient sexual desire, infertility from ovarian tupor, ovarian dropsy. For these, he recommends the lowest triturations or potency. He suggests its use in purpural mania with sexual excitement. That's purpural is, they're pregnant and they have sexual mania. Ovaritis, gastrointestinal irritation, and suicidal impulses, also in corresponding states in men. So that's all that excitement and that in men. But suicidal impulses would be the Aurum part of that. All right, that's morning medicine. I am a few minutes over. You can age, but you don't have to get old. Boy, I got to quit going into the